Today, we'll read a news article together, and this is an advanced C1 article. But don't worry, because this lesson is perfect for you if you're a beginner, intermediate, or advanced, because I'll explain everything in detail. You'll improve all areas of your English, your vocabulary, grammar, pronunciation, reading, writing, and more. Welcome back to JForrest English. Of course, I'm Jennifer. Now let's get started. Our headline: AI slop is transforming social media and backlash is brewing. You may have heard the term AI slop. The article will define what this is in a second. Now, backlash. Do you know what this is? And backlash. This is a thing. It's a noun. It's a strong negative reaction. So a strong negative reaction to what they're calling AI slop. They're putting it in a single quote because this isn't an official term. It's a new term, so that's why I did air quotes as well. AI slop. Backlash, a strong negative reaction, is brewing. You may be familiar with the verb brew in the sense that you brew coffee, but in this meaning, it's not the same. Brewing means it's developing, it's slowly developing, and we use it for something negative. We often use this if you look outside and you notice there are some dark clouds, but then it looks like more dark clouds are coming. You might say a storm is brewing. It's growing and developing, but in your mind, you view a storm as negative. Oh no, maybe my plants will be damaged. So backlash is growing, developing. Don't worry about taking these notes. I summarize everything in a free lesson PDF. You can find the link in the description. Now let's keep learning about this AI slop and the backlash that's brewing. Over just a couple of years, so here, just is used to minimize it, make it sound like it's not that important in the sense that a couple of years, a couple is 2, a couple of years. So you might say, oh, I received a couple of emails asking about our services. Now, technically, a couple is 2, but native speakers often use it when it isn't precisely 2, just to mean a small number of. A couple of years, of course, because this is a plural reference, so that's why we have years. Now, using over in the sense of a timeline is viewing the entire timeline as a whole. So start to weekend, start to end. You might say, over the weekend, we cleaned the house. So you didn't just clean the house at one specific time, Sunday at 3 p.m. It happened during the entire time. So that's how we use over with a timeline. Over just a couple of years, the experience of using social media has changed profoundly. So has changed because they're viewing this as a completed past action, but there's a result in the present. And that's why they use the present perfect to show that connection to the present rather than just the past simple, which is a completed past action. And profoundly, this is an intensifier. It means to a high degree. The word profoundly is what type of a word? What part of speech? It's an adverb. An easy way is because it ends in ly, but what you should understand is that it modifies the verb. But the adjective is very commonly used. Profoundly is the adverb. Do you know what the adjective is? Profound. Profound. So here, you can say AI has had past action, but results in the present. AI has had a profound effect. Effect is a noun. Adjectives modify nouns. Article, adjective, noun. A profound effect on our daily lives. That's the adjective. You could also use the adverb and say AI has affected. So instead of effect, which is a noun, affect is the verb in the present perfect as well, has affected our daily lives profoundly. Now, this is the adverb. Adverbs are not always directly beside the verb they modify, but this adverb modifies affect what? This is the object of affect, and then the adverb modifies the verb plus the object. Are you enjoying this lesson? If you are, then I want to tell you about the Finally Fluent Academy. This is my premium training program where we study native English speakers from TV, movies, YouTube, and the news so you can improve your listening skills of fast English, expand your vocabulary with natural expressions, and learn advanced grammar easily. Plus, you'll have me as your personal coach. You can look in the description for the link to learn more, or you can go to my website and click on Finally Fluent Academy. Now let's continue with our lesson. The onslaught, repeat after me, onslaught, slot. The onslaught of AI slop. This is an interesting word choice because onslaught means the attack. So it instantly makes it sound like AI slop is a negative thing because it's the attack of AI slop. The onslaught of AI slop defined as, okay, this defined as, they are now giving us the definition of AI slop. This is commonly done for new terms, even for native speakers, because there are many native speakers that may have a general understanding of what this is, but it's a new term. It didn't exist 5 years ago, so natives have to learn new terms just like you. So they're defining it, defined as, you define something as something, defined as low quality, mass-produced digital content. Mass-produced means you can produce many in a short amount of time. So this black t-shirt was probably mass-produced in a factory in China, rather than one person creating this shirt with a lot of attention and care. Probably hundreds of this exact shirt was produced. This shirt was mass-produced, probably. Low quality, mass-produced digital content generated by artificial intelligence. Not generated by a person, although of course a person still, right now with the technology we have, a person still has to create the prompts to create the image. But the person did not draw these images. A person gave the prompt, create an image of a young child holding a puppy in a canoe with a life jacket. But then AI actually created it. So that is the definition of AI slop. Is now unstoppable. So again, very strong wording here. Onslaught, unstoppable, mass-produced, low quality. But some people are starting to fight back. So we have this attack, and for us to fight back, maybe we do that by not interacting with that content or negatively reacting, thumbs down instead of thumbs up. That could be how we fight back. Now, there is no preposition here because the object is identified first of AI slop, but you could say people are fighting back against AI slop. So if you have the object after the object of fight back, you need the preposition against. You fight back against something. Let's keep reading. Theodore Cazal, a 20-year-old student from Paris. So here, notice how this gives more information about this student, about who this person is. Theodore Cazal, if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, a 20-year-old student from Paris. So instead of student, you could have a job title. So you could say a 55-year-old marketing manager from Michigan. So you can change this to a different city or even a country. This functions as a job title. So you can have a different job title. Now notice you need a with the job title. A student, a marketing manager, an advertising executive, but this would separate the article. And the article is always determined by the word that comes next, if it's a or an. So 20, it's a vowel sound. And notice we have article, adjective, noun. And that's why there is no S, and you also see these dashes combining it, because if this functions as an adjective, it describes the student. Adjectives do not have singular plural form, only nouns do. So here, if you wrote it a different way, Theodore Cazal, a student from Paris who is 20 years old. So this is your regular noun phrase describing age. To be, number, years, assuming it's more than one, and then you add old. Theodore Cazal, a 20-year-old student from Paris, remembers. So here, this has an S on it because all of this information does not affect the grammar. It's Theodore Cazal remembers. He remembers. It's in the present simple. He remembers the AI slop that tipped him over the edge. Ooh, okay. This is an expression. Have you heard the expression, the straw that broke the camel's back, or the last straw? Both of those are very common. It's when you're at a maximum point of strong emotion, strong negative emotion, and then something minor happens and then you just explode. Not because of that something minor, but because you were already at that maximum level of negative emotion. That's why people can get so frustrated when they're stuck in traffic. It's really the entire day's worth of frustration or many other frustrations. And then when someone cuts them off, that is what tipped that person over the edge. It made them explode because they were already at a frustrated point. So here it's the AI slop. My example was when the car cut that person off. But this one, it's you're scrolling on social media, catching up with your friends, or learning English with JForrest English. And then you see this terrible AI slop image or video and you just explode. I can't take it anymore. That's what tipped him over the edge. So he remembers the exact image or the exact video that caused this very strong negative reaction. Let's keep reading. The image. Okay, so this is the AI slop that tipped him over the edge. That was his breaking point. So I use breaking point, but this is to reach a state of extreme negative emotion. That could be the breaking point that caused him to break or snap. So the image was of two impoverished. So this comes from the word poverty. So you can think of two very poor, of two impoverished South Asian children. For some reason, despite their boyish features, they have thick beards. So this is an example of an inconsistency. Why would someone who has overall boyish features have thick beards, which is not a feature of a boy? So this fits that definition of AI slop. That is low quality. Where is it? Low quality, mass-produced digital content. So low quality. So an example like that is low quality. So despite their boyish features, they have thick beards. Notice the pronunciation. So it's this: beard, beard, eared. So it's like ear, because you have it here. Eared, ear, and then just put a D. Eared, eareds. But you need that S as well. Beards, beards. have thick beards. One of them had no hands and only one foot. The other was holding a sign saying it's his birthday and asking for likes. Inexplicably, they are sitting in the middle of a busy road in the pouring rain with a birthday cake with lit candles. So lit candles in the pouring rain. That isn't very logical, is it? Nor is sitting in the middle of a busy road, because if the road is busy, they would be hit by a car very, very quickly. So pouring rain means it's raining very heavily. So heavy rain, pouring rain, in the pouring rain. Often we just use this as the verb. Oh, it's pouring. To pour. It's pouring, which means it's raining extremely heavily. It's pouring. It's pouring out there. Oh, don't go outside. It's pouring. Now, inexplicably, it means there's no rational reason for this. So explicably, it comes from you can explain it. But inexplicably actually makes it the opposite. So you can't explain it. It's not logical, this scenario. And that's why people are terming these with the word AI slop, which is very negative. Let's keep reading. The image is full of telltale signs. A telltale sign, notice this is an adjective. You could get rid of it and still the image is full of signs. In this context, a sign means a clue. Now, a telltale means an obvious sign, an obvious clue, an obvious reason. So basically, it's very obvious. So for example, maybe if you're a parent and you want to understand if your child is being truthful and your child won't look you in the eyes and seems really nervous, that might be a telltale sign, an obvious indication, an obvious clue that the child is lying. That could be the same with an adult in a different context as well. So the image is full of telltale signs that it was made with AI. But on Facebook, it went viral. So to go viral, you need to learn, when you learn expressions, you need to learn the words that pair with those expressions. So here it's to go viral. That's the verb we use with viral to mean to become viral. And viral means extremely popular. So that image received a lot of positive reactions in terms of people sharing it, liking it, commenting on it, to go viral. So go is conjugated in the past simple. Now, but because this seems like a negative, it was an image made with AI, in this article is being presented as a negative. AI, the word AI slop is not a positive word. But is being used for that contrast. We have a negative, but then something positive happens. It went viral. That's positive. It's AI slop. That's negative. So we use but to combine a contrast. Often when students learn about using but, however, for contrast, it's positive then negative. But you can absolutely start with a negative and then go to a positive. But on Facebook, notice we use the preposition on with a social media platform. But on Facebook, it went viral with nearly 1 million likes. Wow. You could even say it went extremely viral because 1 million likes and heart emojis. Seeing this reaction, something snapped in Theodore. Oh, remember when I described becoming extremely upset, the breaking point, I used that and he snapped. We use the word to snap when someone has a very strong negative reaction. So let's say my husband just comes into the kitchen and says, "Oh, do you want a cup of coffee?" Just something very simple. And then I snap and I say, "I'm busy. I can't do that right now," even though he's offering something. So to become very upset instantly without even a reason. And that's why I use my husband offering me something, because there's no reason for that strong negative reaction. But that negative reaction was probably many small frustrations that I had throughout my entire day. And then I snap. So very strong negative reaction. That's what it hears. Something snapped in Theodore. He just saw that image and became extremely upset. Let's keep reading. It boggled my mind. Okay. If something boggles your mind, this is an idiom. It doesn't have a literal translation. It means something causes you to become very confused. And usually in a negative way. You could use this in more, I don't understand something. So to be honest, how ChatGPT works boggles my mind. I don't really understand how I can just type something in and instantly get this very detailed reply. It boggles my mind. I don't understand the mechanics. So you can use that in a true confused way, in that you don't understand how something works, something very complicated. We often use this when you don't understand the rationale or reason for something. So you might say, my friend has an amazing job, but she's late to work almost every day and she doesn't seem to care. It just boggles my mind. I mean, she makes a ton of money and yet she doesn't even take the job seriously. So that's not complicated in my original example. It's more that I don't understand her actions or her decisions. I don't understand why she would do that. It boggles my mind. So you can use it in both contexts. It's a very common expression. It boggled my mind. So of course, in this one, it's not that he doesn't understand it from a complicated. It's more that he doesn't understand people's behaviors. Why would people like this image that's clearly AI? It boggled my mind. So the verb is to boggle. And then this is what you have to conjugate. So mine, it's in the present simple. It boggles. ChatGPT, it boggles. But this is in the past. It boggled my mind. These absurd means stupid, more in a unreasonable, not lacking of intelligence, but more unreasonable. For example, maybe you would say, my boss wants me to work on Christmas Day, the most important holiday in North America, at least, from an employee perspective. And you could say it's absurd. It's absurd. So it's unreasonable. It's stupid because it's unreasonable, not because my boss is not intelligent. These absurd AI-made images were all over Facebook and getting a huge amount of traction. In this case, traction means visibility, engagement. So traction means progress, and what that progress is depends on the context. So traction in the context of a social media post would be how many people liked it, shared it, commented on it. You could say our product is getting a lot of traction. In that case, if you own a t-shirt store, the progress would be views to your website, people who buy the shirt, people who leave a positive review, people who join your email list to get a free coupon. All of that would represent traction. Getting a huge amount of traction without any scrutiny at all. So notice how I pronounce this in American English. scrutiny, scrutiny. I pronounce this as a flat T. If I wanted to pronounce it as if I were reading a dictionary definition, I would say scrutiny, scrutiny. But I speak like a native, scrutiny. But if you want to pronounce that T, that's fine. Just understand that American English will turn this into a flap T. It just happens naturally. I don't consciously think about it. Scrutiny at all. Scrutiny is when you look at something from a critical perspective. So when I see this image and I'm trying to identify flaws, errors, or mistakes in it. Maybe because it's my job to review the image before we post it on our website. So it's my job to scrutinize. That's the verb form, to scrutinize, to look at it critically, to scrutinize the image. So scrutiny, this is the noun form. It's a thing, and it's where people are reviewing it from a critical perspective. It was insane to me, he said. So Theodore started an account on X, formerly known as Twitter. So this is the description of X, called Insane AI Slop, and started calling out and poking fun at the content he came across that was fooling people. Okay, so to fool someone, it's you see this image and you think it's real, but it's not. That image fooled you. Now, and started calling out. So he created this account and started calling out. So if you call someone or something out, it means you publicly say, this is wrong. This is AI slop. You shouldn't do this. This is incorrect. So that's how you call someone out. You publicly announce criticism against them. So start calling out and poking fun at. So do you know make fun of? So if you see this image and it's supposed to be sad because it's this impoverished boy without any arms. But if you poke fun at it, if you make fun of it, you would say something critical in a funny way. And so call out and poke fun at the content he came across. So if you come across something, it means you see it unintentionally. So he's just scrolling on social media, seeing what his friends are up to, and then he sees this image. So he's not purposely looking for insane AI. He just sees it as he goes about his regular social media interactions. He came across that was fooling people, so tricking people, deceiving people. Let's keep reading. Others took notice. You could also just say others noticed. So to take notice of something simply means to notice. So you can simplify that and just use the verb notice. But here, notice is a noun and take is the verb that's conjugated. So you would have to say others noticed and use that as the verb in the past simple. Others noticed, others took notice, and his inbox, his email inbox, soon became flooded with people. So if you say my email, my inbox is flooded with spam, which is true for mine. Hundreds every day of spam emails. If you ever wonder why you email me and I don't reply, it's because I literally get hundreds of emails every day that are spam. So that would be flooded, receive a large amount of in a small amount of time. And his inbox soon became flooded with people sending submissions for popular so-called AI slop. They added the word so-called because AI slop is a new term and it may not be officially recognized or used, accepted by everyone. So until it becomes a term that's part of our regular vocabulary, you may put it in quotations, use air quotes when you talk about it, or add the word so-called to convey that. With people sending submissions. So again, instead of take notice of, you could simply use notice. Instead of sending submissions, you could simply say flooded with people submitting popular so-called AI slop. If you use submit, that would be the verb. You wouldn't have submit for. You would just submit something. And the something is popular so-called AI slop. Let's keep reading. Although many companies have openly embraced AI. So if you openly do something, it means you're not trying to hide it. You say publicly, our company uses AI. This newsletter was written by AI. We're not trying to hide it. We're open about it. So if you're open about something, it means it's not a secret. You're happy for the public to know it. So have openly embraced AI. Deeming it as the future. If you deem something as something, it means that you consider it, you identify it as, deeming it as the future. Some say, okay, remember we have although. So this is also a contrast. Embrace AI openly, that's very positive. But because we have although, we know the next clause after the comma is going to be something negative, something that contrasts with openly embracing AI. Some companies say they are starting to crack down on some forms of AI slop, as it is clear that consumer trust is beginning to erode. So if a rock erodes, it slowly becomes smaller and smaller and smaller. So you have trust that slowly becomes smaller. And if you don't trust a company, you're not going to do business with them. So that's the contrast here. Some say they are starting to crack down on. If you crack down on, it means you become more serious about something. So here, if they're cracking down on some forms of AI slop, it means that they're scrutinizing it more. They're saying, this isn't good enough for our brand. This isn't good enough for our company. Yes, it was easy to produce. It was cheap, but is this really what we want our company to be known for? So that's how you could crack down on. Just say no to some forms of AI slop. And this is the reason why, as it is clear that consumer trust is beginning to erode. And that's the end of the article. So now I'll read the article from start to finish, and you can focus on my pronunciation. AI slop is transforming social media, and backlash is brewing. Over just a couple of years, the experience of using social media has changed profoundly. The onslaught of AI slop, defined as low-quality, mass-produced digital content generated by artificial intelligence, is now unstoppable. But some people are starting to fight back. Theodore Cazal, a 20-year-old student from Paris, remembers the AI slop that tipped him over the edge. The image was of two impoverished South Asian children. For some reason, despite their boyish features, they have thick beards. One of them had no hands and only one foot. The other was holding a sign saying it's his birthday and asking for likes. Inexplicably, they are sitting in the middle of a busy road in the pouring rain with a birthday cake with lit candles. The image is full of telltale signs that it was made with AI. But on Facebook, it went viral with nearly 1 million likes and heart emojis. Seeing this reaction, something snapped in Theodore. It boggled my mind. These absurd AI-made images were all over Facebook and getting a huge amount of traction without any scrutiny at all. It was insane to me, he said. So Theodore started an account on X, formerly known as Twitter, called Insane AI Slop, and started calling out and poking fun at the content he came across that was fooling people. Others took notice, and his inbox soon became flooded with people sending submissions for popular so-called AI slop. Although many companies have openly embraced AI, deeming it as the future, some say they are starting to crack down on some forms of AI slop, as it is clear that consumer trust is beginning to erode. Amazing job with this lesson. Do you want to keep learning English with the news? If you do, put yes, 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 put yes, yes, yes in the comments below. And of course, make sure you like this lesson, share it with your friends, and subscribe so you're notified every time I post a new lesson. And you can get this free speaking guide where I share 6 tips on how to speak English fluently and confidently. You can click here to download it or look for the link in the description. And here's another lesson I know you'll love. Watch it now.